Hey guys, welcome back to Crossfaded Kitchen. Today we are doing something very different and very exciting. We are having our first cannabis education guest. We were so excited actually that we failed to give her a proper introduction. Bree is currently getting her master's degree in Cannabis Science. In 2019, she was budtender of the year and was featured on the cover of Green Entrepreneur magazine. I highly recommend going and following her Instagram for more cannabis knowledge. She's so smart and so amazing. Other than that, enjoy.
Oh, she found the alcohol.
We only have handles in my house, so I had to sneak away with a handle with my roommates judging me, and the only chase I have is Green Machine from Naked Juice. So how did you get into the cannabis industry?
So I went to Amsterdam right before my 21st birthday and went to the Hemp and Marijuana Museum and just fell in love with hemp plastics. Hemp plastics was my first dream. So when I came back, I started researching it and it just was not legal yet. It was like about a year before it became legal.
What's hemp plastics? It's like that, like plastics literally made out of hemp.
Yeah, biodegradable. So like I have like a 3D printer right now. So I'm like printing hemp plastic, like little things. Um, so it's like the most biodegradable plastic that we have right now. I have like little like weed trays and stuff like that, like little bongs that I printed. But so that was my first love. Came back here, back to the States to try and find a job because again I just turned 21 at the time. And I just did not understand the difference between the medical cannabis industry. That was so I would talk to my family like, oh, like hemp plastics, like this is like the closest job I can get. And I'm so happy that it worked out that way. It was definitely not intentional, but I just ended up falling in love. Kaliba was my the job that I ended up working for when I came back, and it's my favorite job that I've ever had. So I think like the place that I was in just completely like that is why I view cannabis the way that I do.
And so like then obviously now you're getting your master's in cannabis science. Like I have a lot of like questions about this. Like one, like how is this a major or master's program? Like that is so crazy. And like tell us all about that.
So my mom actually saw it on the news a couple years ago and like sent it to me. She's been so supportive, but it's a master's program from University of Maryland, Baltimore, one of the top pharmacy programs in the nation. So it's an actual reputable, very good program. And it just focuses on the medical use of cannabis. So like my first class was like intro and kind of learning about like the criminalization of it. My last class was pharmacology and pharmacokinetics, which is basically like how the drug interacts with the body and how the body interacts with the drug. The people that I'm in class with are like researchers and scientists and doctors and dentists and people like myself.
Dentists.
Yeah, one of the girl in my last group project is a dentist. It is the first program and they want to appeal to, a larger audience since there's not a lot of options right now. So it does a really good job of putting you in place.
It's tough that you have to be kind of like a subject matter expert in everything weed. It's not that you can just say, I'm an expert in the pharmacy. It's like, I know the law, I know what you can and cannot do, dosing. That's like, That is crazy. And I hope one day cannabis becomes so widespread and legal that you can become like a specialist in the area that you like the best, because that's a lot to put on one person.
Yeah,
it is.
Do you have an area that you want to go to?
I basically want to create classes for like, I will say the first class that I'm starting to work on right now is like cannabis metabolism methods. And then I want to do that and then a couple other courses and get them accredited. So I've been researching how to get that. I basically like the first program I want to create is going to be like package. So individual classes or a package that you can get that will be, promoted to like nurses and people who want to be medical cannabis consultants or pharmacists that would have a specialty in cannabis and things like that. As a bud tender, I would have to come in, like you came into the dispensary and you have all these, preconceived like things about why cannabis is bad and you're embarrassed to come in. So then I'm having to have the weight of letting them know that they're not doing anything wrong, explaining that it's okay. Then I have to explain the science behind it. And then I have to make a product recommendation. And, and sometimes someone's having a bad day and you have to be their therapist, or, you're younger and this person's older. And so you have to defend. And I would have to say often, like, I do have my bachelor's, like, there was like people that I was talking to, like I would have to defend myself. And it's like, you came in to get weed. So you do have to play a lot of different roles.
every time I go into a dispensary, I'm like, I become more and more comfortable. But the first time I went in, I was like, I know I like low THC. I don't know anything about what strain. What you're saying is so true. Bud tenders have a lot of pressure. And I think it's really cool that you're interested in educating people, because there's a lot of education that people don't have.
But what you have to realize is that so this person has these ailments, and as a physician, you send them to this dispensary, and then you send them to people like myself that are young, and like, especially before, there's a lot of weed products, like you want to get high, like what you want. And like, that's the person that you're sending them to for like the last be all. That's the person who determines what products they go home with. And it's overwhelming how many products there are anyways. A lot of companies don't do as well as they should with packaging. And a lot of dispensaries aren't training their bud tenders as well. And because education is not as widespread. So you're giving a lot of responsibility to these bud tenders to do the work for the doctor. And it's like, it's a really long domino to get to that point. And then a person tries a product, they hate it, and now they never want to try it again. And they waste $100 and they're upset. And, it's kind of, it's like, whose fault is that? The fault is that there isn't a gap, or there's a gap and it's not being bridged. So I want to like help push education and like create those programs to bridge that gap.
What's your tolerance? Like, if you do you feel high, or do you just feel like mildly high all the time?
So I do feel high all the time, but that's why I'm such a big person on the importance of terpenes and strains. Because like all cannabis, a lot of it has to do with what you're doing too. So if you lay down, you're probably going to feel sleepy, and if you stand up, you're probably gonna feel good. So say I smoke, or even like the strawberry bliss that I have right now, that's my favorite cleaning weed. So if I smoke that and I start cleaning, like that enhances what I'm doing. So though I always do feel high, whatever personal thing I pick, I feel that surge in like that particular product.
That's so interesting, because I think now that I'm more like, I smoke more often, I do really feel the difference in the strains. Like, I smoked hybrids forever, and I just recently started getting sativas and indicas, and like the taste of a sativa and an indica are so different, and the experience so different. I've never had an edible drink. Does it hit faster than an edible like treat?
If you have stuff, go under your tongue, it goes sublingually and straight into your bloodstream. So a portion of that does go in there that way, versus the drink does get metabolized. But you have to think of anything that you eat, whether it's a capsule or an edible or just swallowing pretty much anything, that there's a long journey. So if that's why it has to be broken down, so why chocolate takes so long, versus a drink, it can be metabolized a lot faster.
Wow.
So it's really like how your body digests it, like impacts how you're high the most.
I'm sure I can out smoke like a 250-pound man. Like, it does not matter, like weight, and even like cannabis or all cannabinoids are lipophilic, which means they like fat. So the more fatty content that you do have in your body, the more like receptors that you're going to have, and the longer it's going to stick. And so say you're taking a drug test, an edible, and your size and things like that are going to determine how long it stays in your body. And a random fun fact, 70% of cannabinoids are excreted through your feces, and only 30% is excreted through your urine.
Wow. So we literally shit weed.
I know that was like a lot. Yeah, you would shit weed. Wow. I know,
Are you okay with smoking on camera?
I now am. It took a while, but actually I did want to let you guys know, when you guys messaged me, I had been going back and forth a while between like, should I post on my own account, or should I, because like I still have like family, and like, so your guys' message actually like got my mind spinning, and like that's when I finally decided to like make like to do this like the separate account, because I'd already made it, I just like wasn't posting on it. So I did want to say thanks for that, at least. You guys, it was kind of like got my—
That's really meaningful. That's awesome.
So sweet.
Like, I was so nervous about it, but the support that I've had so far, like even like you guys like having interest, and like I'm comfortable with you guys anyways. So yes, I am comfortable, but you guys did have a part in my comfort in being comfortable smoking on camera. So
it took us a while too.
Yeah. It's like that stigma that we're like, we know to, do it and just get it over with, but to be the people doing it is scary.
Yeah, that's a great
absolutely,
because there's still like a huge stigma. And I mean, California is its own thing, right? There's other states don't have it recreationally. So there is a big stigma, and putting it on the internet the first time was like probably one of the scariest experiences. Oh, she's going for it.
Well, I was like, we're talking about smoking weed on the camera. So.
My parents were so cool about it. That was my number one thing. My grandparents haven't found out, so I'll deal with that one.
Yeah, and I guess maybe I don't even know if it's recording now or but I did get to take my grandma to a dispensary, and then I got her everything she needed, and then she ended up going in Vegas without me, and they gave her all the wrong shit. And she's like, so my mom FaceTimed me, I actually have a screenshot of it. I was like, show me your product. I posted it like a while ago, and she's like, I'm never buying anything without talking to you first. And I was like, I'm telling you.
Oh my God, I love that.
That's so cute.
Cover of the magazine, I think, definitely helped with or even like my more conservative side of the family, saying, or even like my master's program helped legitimize it a lot, to even like help extend like the comfort that I had. So, but being on a magazine cover is like, okay, look, like it's a professional looking magazine. I'm not like in a bikini smoking out of like a really tall bong with like, high heels and stuff. And like, that's fine. But that's not like, if I want to, promote education and stuff and then convince my family that I'm not trying to be that, it's like a really fine boundary.
What are some cannabis myths?
So there's a couple fun smoking myths that you can see about torching your weed or percentages, and you can go check out my video. But so for some other ones that I did not go over in my video, so one, a lot of people say that CBD is not psychoactive, which is true in the normal sense of how people look at the word, but technically it is psychoactive. It does alter your psyche. It's just not intoxicating. So that's just like one language change that I like to explain, especially again, if you're like a budtender or you're educating someone. Another one is that CBD is CBD anywhere that you get it from. CBD from a cannabis plant is going to be full spectrum. It's going to be able to be fully spectrumic in your body. Okay, and the myth that was hardest for me to accept is that cannabis is not addicting, but it actually is. I feel like that's like a hard one that a lot of people don't want to admit, but when you compare the withdrawal symptoms of cannabis to, other drugs, they're very similar, from like irritability, and agitation and things like that. And then the dependency on it. So there is physical dependence, there is mental dependence, there is social dependence.
Yeah.
The hardest myth to accept was that cannabis is in fact addicting. Working at the Cannabis Cafe, you're not allowed to have tobacco products. And by the way, a swisher or a blunt, all of that stuff is tobacco. It is a tobacco leaf. You are smoking tobacco. And people would argue me, and I'd be like, babe, it's a tobacco leaf. And I'd point on the swisher, and they'd be like, no, it's not. And I'm like, bro, like, trust me, like, I'm trying to smoke a blunt too, but like, in here, I'm sorry. And people would, and I'd be like, see, and I'd turn it over and you'd see it, and people were just like mind blown. Yeah, it's a tobacco leaf. That is a blunt and a swisher.
A blunt wrap is a tobacco leaf?
Yeah, all tobacco.
Alyssa.
I quit smoking cigarettes. I've had one blunt since I quit smoking cigarettes, and I was like, this is good.
What is the difference, like, as far as like, the body feeling between THC and CBD?
CBD, scientists still don't understand the mechanisms of CBD. So when you touch on CBD,
really?
Yeah. So what we know about CBD is from consistent research studies and what the consistent answers have been, but they still don't understand the mechanisms. So because how is that one legal then? If that's the one they understand least. Okay, I'm going to back up a little bit. So in the 1880s, cannabis was legal, and they were putting it in tincture forms with alcohol and things like that.
In 1880s?
Yeah, in 1880s. So it was.
They were lit back then.
Yeah, no, and it was very common. Like pharmacists were giving it, things like that. And at first it was about medicine, and then you go into 1913, and then that's when they had the Pharmacy Act. And they started saying, so every physician that gives a drug, you have to tax that. A lot of the criminalization was after the 1910 war, when a lot of Mexicans started coming up south of the border. So they started criminalizing weed to literally have a reason. It said they criminalized weed to have a vehicle to criminalize minorities. And that was pretty much like the exact quote. So because in America, they were using cannabis with tinctures. And it was the Mexicans who were smoking it. So that's how they were able to distinguish, immigrants and things like that initially. So they came up with this law literally to criminalize. There was no So instead of it being about medical value, it became really engrossed with the law and things like that. And that's when you have the 1937 Marijuana Act, where like they banished it. And it was mostly like political propaganda and especially criminalization of minorities. I'm sure there's so much topics about that already. So cannabis right now is on Schedule 1, which means high potential for abuse and no medical value. However, there is in fact medical value. So what Harry Anslinger and a lot of other politicians would do is basically just crush all of the articles so that none of the information would get out there.
Well, like the political stuff is like, that's where I'm like, oh my God, like I can't believe that the criminalization of weed was like literally a racist act. That's crazy.
Like entirely was. And when you break it
Oh my
down year by
gosh.
year, and then especially when you like the 1910 revolution ended, and then you think that's in 1910, and then in 1930 there's that Pharmacy Act, or 1913, 3 years later there's that Pharmacy Act, and you see the flow of like minorities coming, and then like the further crackdown. And then it's even interesting too, because in the 1960s, that's obviously when a lot of like white middle class.
I'm gonna say that middle ass people.
White middle. No, just kidding. Okay, I'm not really technically, but so in the 1960s, when white middle class college age students started smoking weed, it was all over the front pages. But all of a sudden now, no political actions being taken, no one's being arrested, and someone wrote in some newspaper saying like, oh, well, it's America's finest, so it's like when white people are smoking it, or when people that like are financially stable are smoking it, it's fine. The only problem is when someone of color or from a lower economic background. I'll get back to the explanation. So we are all born with endocannabinoid systems, and they work throughout our entire body. So think of like when you're running and you feel that euphoria and you're like, what else do I want to do? So that's your body producing an anandamide. We naturally produce an anandamide or a 2-AG, and that gives us euphoria. THC is a very similar chemical structure. It fits into the exact same receptors as anandamide. So THC basically mimics anandamide, and that's why you feel that euphoria. We have naturally producing molecules that give us euphoria, and THC mimics that. So THC is able to fit into all those receptors that anandamide does. So CBD does not, it has like low efficacy and a lot of other, basically it doesn't bind. So that's why you can't feel the euphoria. So that's why we know it doesn't bind, but no one knows exactly what its mechanisms are. THC is able to pass your blood-brain barrier, and that is literally your CNS, your brain, and all of the different things, so like psychoactive and things like that. So THC can pass that, and that's why you feel the neuroactive effects. So say you have pain in your body. Well, you're not feeling it here. It's like the hand on the stove type of thing. It's not, it doesn't matter about like your actual hand, but like your brain is saying, ow, that hurts. So that way you're not having, burns all over yourself. Your brain's telling you, ow, that hurts. So THC, since it's in your brain, it actually turns those pain signals off, or it dampens them. So that way, you're not in any like immediate danger or anything like that, but your body's it's lowering those signals. So it's not telling you that you're in as much pain. It's able to pass that blood-brain barrier. So CBD actually removes inflammation.
Like, so sativa, every time I smoke it, it like makes me, well, I guess more so when I have a sativa edible, like it like puts me on my ass. Like I like literally think I'm in a different dimension. Like I can feel my thoughts. Like, why is that?
Wow. I will first start off with the faster answer. Anything that you eat, whether it's sativa, hybrid, or indica, it does still have that hybrid or indica feeling because you are eating it in your body. Okay. But it really just goes down to terpenes. And like even in my video, when I talk about percentages, it's just, percentages are great. But it really comes down to the terpenes. How I usually explain terpenes in like a more simple way is, have you guys cleaned with pine sol before?
Yeah.
Did it make you like cleaning? Were you kind of like into it? Like, oh, what else should I clean? Like,
yeah, surface good.
Yeah.
So that's pinene from like a pine cone. That is my favorite terpene. So say if I had a customer coming in and they're like, hey, like I'm getting something for my parent, they're having like dementia and things like that. So obviously you don't want them with dementia or Alzheimer's. you wouldn't want to give them something to increase that. You want to give them something to, stimulate them.
Yeah.
So pinene is good for memory retention, alert, focus. And that's why I brought up the cleaning example, because it does enhance like the way that you feel. So even like with something like pinene, you're like, oh, it smells good, I want to keep going. That is the aromatherapy of it. Terpenes are literally just aromatic oil compounds. And so any fruits, anything that's pretty much naturally derived that you can smell from, that's a terpene. So plants, cannabis plants, oils, or even like lemons and things like that, like that's
Wow.
limonene. Limonene is good for anxiety. It's an uplifter. So, you smell that sativa and it smells fruity, lemony, and it smells so good and uplifting, versus you smell something more musky and more cheesy or dank. And like you were saying, Alyssa, earlier, you can really smell the difference between sativa and indica. So think of like, the most popular one for relaxation, lavender lotion, lavender bath salts, lavender tea. So the terpene in lavender is linalool. Linalool is a sedative. And then there's also, medical benefits from it. And then there's also certain effects tied to it. So when you're smelling flower or smelling cannabis, you're smelling the terpenes. Cannabinoids don't have smells. You're really just smelling that smell. So if you smell something at a dispensary and we might smell the same thing and I might really like it, and Jess might be like, like it's okay, and Alyssa, you might be like, not for me. That literally is a hint and a preview of how your body is going to react to that. A lot of companies really need to work with their transparency, because I could sell a product so much easier if I can literally see what's on there. This person wants something. I'm looking at 100 different extra, and you've been to Cleva, so think about how wide our selection was. Now imagine how fast we're moving that in and out. Imagine how many customers I have per day, how many times I've heard, said the same spiel. If I have a product that clearly says what it is, I'm going to reach for that one and not waste my time, going through all the different ones. And a lot of packaging, they don't do themselves a favor, because this is a hybrid and it's 100 milligrams. Yeah, well, so is this one. But a lot of customers go off of what packaging is the coolest if I can't give you any much more information off of that.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, no, just quite simply. And that's when people were like percentages and like, I've been smoking since before you and things like that. And then they want like the cheapest 10%. And I'm just like, you weren't even listening to me the whole time anyways. Like, why did we just talk for the last 30 minutes if you're just going to go pick whatever you want? But I mean, it's like funny, but it's not.
Annoying, I'm sure.
You're opening up so much to my eyes, because I always wondered why the budtenders were like, oh, smell this. Like they always have it in aromatic like containers. And they'll be chatting with me. They'll go, "Oh yeah, smell it." And I'm like, "Okay, like what am I to this until you just spoke to me?" Why I was smelling it? I just
you just do it because someone tells you to, and you're like, "Cool."
You smell it. I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's dank." Like, am I supposed to have any sort of opinion about this? And I never thought to look it up. I just assumed it was like some culture thing. I just went with it. And now I know.
So one of the popular things is when you get too high, smell some black pepper. It's like an anti-inflammatory, it's like an anti a lot of stuff, but it brings down your high. So yeah. Oh, and then even
you just changed my life, man. I'm gonna do that.
Sniff the pepper.
Have you done it?
Oh yeah.
Did it work?
I mean, I like sneezed and then I felt good. I don't know if it was a sneeze that woke me up or whatever it was. But then even like a random terpene, humulene, it's found in like hops and stuff like that. That is an appetite suppressant. So
I'm gonna write that down.
Right? And it's like, it's hot. No, right? There's a lot of stuff. Or even like pinene, like my favorite one. That's a bronchodilator, so it's good for people with asthma.
I've heard the word terpene and I thought it was, Jessica, are you okay? Oh, she muted herself because she's actually dying. Oh no! I was like,
yeah, I was coughing up the storm, so I was like, I gotta not disturb this conversation.
I wish I could pass you water, man. Like I literally like reached for my water and like I'm like, I literally did.
What is in your hand? What is that?
Okay, well, this was next to my water, so I was about to grab my water and then I realized I'm just gonna grab this instead. This is a Puffco Peak. My boyfriend, he got it for us as like a shared gift, but it stays here.
Is it a dab?
Yes, it's a dab. It's a very cool dab.
What are like the rest of your smoking apparatuses?
But pretty much like all of my stuff has been gifted to me. Oh my God, I threw away so much cannabis edibles yesterday. I cleaned out my weed drawer. It's insane because you it's too much for one little person, and I give it a lot of gifts. So they give you product sheets, and then they usually will give you free samples of what they have, and that and like, yes, like spoiled budtender, whatever, but like if I have 10 different products, or if I have like 30 products, someone says a hybrid, I go, okay, out of these 10 products, okay, I'm taking notes of what they want, and then I still get down to 5 products from price range $30 to $80. If I've never had this $80 product, I'm not going to push it on. So yeah, so I guess the whole point of me explaining that too, even a lot of my things were gifted to me. So this is from my boyfriend. He got us a shared gift. It's the Puff Peak Pro. I like it so much better than the first model. This is my bong. It was from my best friends a couple years ago, my first bong. It is beautiful. Can you see
so
like
cute.
I love
It's like marble, right?
Like in it's like some sort of, and then I have my hemp wick wrapped up on the side.
That's so cute.
So cool.
And so I'm actually in my closet right now. I kind of turned it into like a little weed corner. So I have all of my like glass and stuff up here. So, and then I'm having my dad like put in shelves so I can just like put my stuff over here. Oh yeah, and then these are all my like posters from school that like the kind of this whole room.
Oh, cool.
It's green.
It's like your weed room.
Oh,
it's a lab.
It's a lab.
The dab lab. Oh my God.
Oh, the dab lab. It's my boyfriend. Oh, I'm just gonna call him real quick because he called me a couple times. Are you on your way?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
I like to talk. They're waving. Oh, you guys looked really cute during that part. Okay. I've been drinking a little bit, so you know what I'm saying? I'm already ready with the Jameson and the White Claws. Okay, I gotta go. I started. Okay, it's called Crossfaded.
Nice.
Okay, I guess I'll start showing you guys my pieces now. This is like the little cute one.
Oh my God.
This is like a little banger. And then so this we got from the cafe, from the Daily High Club. It's this little glass piece. And then you can either put a regular bowl on there, or this one you would fit these little like geo connects. My thing is broken. So if anyone actually watching this video, if you know how to fix geo pen connects, let me know. But it's really cool because there's like a battery attached to it, and then you have the wax in there. And I would show it, but one of the parts is broken. And even like little pieces, like these were all gifts.
Oh my God.
And then this is the one I got for myself in Miami when I was like 18. And when I'm home alone, this is what I
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Wait, show us.
Show us how to do it. Just take a dab.
One click, you can like change the color. There's also an app on the phone as well, so you can like, there's like a party mode, so it does a bunch of different colors.
A party mode.
A party mode.
Wait,
I like that.
I love that.
That's so cute.
So I'm just gonna put like a little personal amount on here, and then you just dump it in here. Super easy. You don't have to like torch anything. You can hold it with your whole hand. You're not gonna get burned, which is really nice. And then you double click the button right there. And then so now it's changing colors. So for about 15 seconds, that's the heat up time. And then, get comfy. This is the time I usually go like grab.
You should take a shot.
Why did you tell me 5 seconds ago? Okay.
Wait, do you have to do it within 15 seconds?
No, it'll, okay, there we go. I'm ready.
Jessica, take a shot with me.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm here, I'm ready.
I'll do it right after.
I don't
Actually,
think I would.
All right.
Oh. Wow. Oh, and she's chasing the Jameson with me.
Oh my God.
Wow, the talent.
Wait, that actually totally changed the taste. I'm totally serious.
Really? That's crazy.
It looks so cool when you smoke it.
I want one.
I want one. I've never dabbed. I want one.
You can see the water boil.
You can see the water boil. Oh yeah,
that is so cool.
Oh my God, it's a whole experience. It's nothing like the traditional dab.
And then it turns off, and you can change the temperature.
So this one's great because I'm actually getting them right now. But why do we get the munchies?
Okay,
what's going on right now?
So your body naturally, or when THC, this is now when Crossfaded comes into place. But so your body produces ghrelin, it's a hunger hormone. So THC makes your body produce that. And then it also ramps up the production of POMCs. That's like when your body, like your neurons are neurotransmitting that you're full. And so it ramps that up, and oftentimes instead of making you full, it makes you hungry. It also increases your endorphins, which make you hungry. And then lastly, it increases dopamine. So if something tastes really good, you naturally want to repeat that action to get the same reward. So
Dude,
all of those
okay.
different things.
Wow.
One time I was so fucking high, like blown, and I like kept eating a burrito even though I was like massively full. Like I like needed to stop, but I didn't stop, and I just ate the entire thing.
You're like, it tastes good. Yeah, and you're like, it tastes good. I can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like I wasn't even thinking.
I'm like lactose intolerant, and there's like one time I ate a whole pint, and I was like, I shouldn't do this. My stomach is already hurting, and I was like, whole pint.
Oh my god, no, but that's why that goes back to the addiction thing earlier. Like, you know, you have rewards, and we are so inclined to follow that reward. So it's like we really don't have nearly as much control as we think we do. Yay! Thanks for having me, guys. This was fun.
I know.
Yeah, this is great.
It felt way more like a hangout.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you guys initially. What I was telling you guys earlier, it did give me like the push to be like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. It was like a leap of faith, and then like everyone was like, or a lot of people supported me, and like you guys' little comments and stuff, and then this too. I wish you guys a lot of success and everything, more projects.
And you too.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see like what you do with all this, because it's like the coolest thing ever.
Well, I appreciate you guys, and
but no, I learned so much today.
Like, oh,
I feel so smart. I can't wait to like talk to people and be like, I know exactly
the fucking terpenes.
Like
things. Like I find what you talk about so interesting, and I think a lot of people on the internet will. And I think especially since you're a woman and you're young and like you have your intelligence, I think your account's gonna really do so well. Like I'm gonna be people who watches everything, because I think this is so cool.
That makes my heart so freaking happy.
Knowledge. Like you have this fucking knowledge.
I honestly really appreciate that, because I was kind of getting lost in a while, like since it's something I do every day, like I was struggling with like what do people actually know and what do they not know, because you know, not wanting to treat someone like they're stupid and they don't know anything, but then not wanting to miss those really important steps.
Yay!
Oh my god, we're gonna have to like do this like again like this year at some point. I'm holding all of us to that right now.
Okay, well, I'm hoping at some point in person.
Yeah. Oh my god.
We can actually cook something.
Okay. Have a great night. Have a great freaking year. And you just
thank you so much again.
Relationship going. Thank you guys.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk again. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.